Hey, yo!
Let me talk to you!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good evening, good night. What can we tell you? It is another edition, the lucky 21st edition of the Other Alliance Guys podcast. As Jeremy said offline, we're now all of legal drinking age now, so that's great. Although that age in Canada is 19, so there you go. So we are the Other Alliance Guys. We are a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, and various independents of quality around the world. My name is Tim. I am joined by my podcasting pals right now. Jeremy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I have a turkey in a pan ready to go in an oven in about 12 hours.
Fantastic. American Thanksgiving just on the other side of morning, I guess. And Dave, how about you? You all ready for Thanksgiving?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Fantastic. As I was just saying offline, like we do that a month before you guys up here, but it's not quite the deal as it is in the U.S. And American Thanksgiving is a lot of fun to be part of. In my experience, anyway. Jeremy's like, too much
I stay
family?
in the kitchen. I stay in the kitchen and cook.
You'll cook the whole time?
Yep.
So that's all right. So what are we looking at today? Let me see if you're in the chat. Please speak up so we know that you're here and we can say hello and get your comments out onto the board. I see a bunch of people are live with us right now. But we will be looking at NWA USA, doing our deep dive, our weekly deep dive into that show. We'll be touching results only on NWA Power. Jeremy will give us the results out of the United Wrestling Network. And Dave will be doing some fantasy booking around the world and women's world tag team titles and how that scene can be fantasy booked into success in the near future. But guys, let's say hi to the chat first. James Bell is here. Hey, James, glad to have you here, sir. And
Thanks for joining, James.
yeah, Rosville, welcome. I don't know that I've seen you. It's been a long time since I've seen your name in the chat, but
Thanks for
welcome
joining.
as well. Yeah, and Jay's here, so welcome. Oh, and I know who this lovely individual is right here. It's probably in the same room as you right now, Jeremy.
No.
No, down the hall.
Yeah.
Right on. Let's talk about a couple of things. First off the bat, nobody's talking about Tyrus as world's champion, guys. I don't get it. It's not on anyone's lips.
Completely over my head.
Yeah, he seems to be over our heads and flying under our radars. Vincent Verbex Patterson, good to see you, my friend. So listen, we've had almost a couple of weeks now as Tyrus is the world's heavyweight champion. He's appeared on NWA Power since that time. He sounded great on the mic when he was talking to a fan and just saying, hey, everybody, they're here to see me. They ain't here to see you. Sign up and get beat if you want to do that. But the internet fervor, let's say, that has been out there around Tyrus, a lot of it negative, of course, has led to a lot of people saying he is the world's champion because he's on Gutfeld. He has that exposure, because he can bring the belt there, because he's a number one selling, I assume, New York Times best-selling author. Because that, nobody is saying it's because of his wrestling ability and how he stacks up to some of the NWA world champions of the past. But I was listening to, and I don't know if you guys both heard this or not, but Pope's Point of View,
Yes.
with the podcast which Pope does with Pollo Del Mar. I hadn't heard
Great
it before.
podcast.
Yeah, it was pretty good. This is my first time hearing it, and they took a very thoughtful approach to, Tyrus's crowning as champion, and it was a measured approach. I mean, they're NWA employees, and they're happy to be there.
Right.
They enjoy being part of the product. But one of the things that I want to pass it to you guys is, that was suggested was maybe it's not about his exposure or about like on Fox News or about his book. He is a media personality, and if the ultimate goal, Jeremy, is that Billy Corgan wants to create a product that gets us on TV, having a 6'7", 375-pound known media personality as your champion might get eyeballs towards getting the product on TV. What did you think of that when he said that, and in your opinion?
That is the same approach that Dana White took, and this is where the MMA part comes in for the wrestling with. This is the exact same approach that Dana White took whenever he got Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Brock Lesnar went in, lost his first fight, came in, had a decisive victory his second fight. The buy rates for that pay-per-view skyrocketed. It sold out quicker than any other pay-per-view at the box for seats in the arena there. Sold out quicker than any other event they had. So for the third fight, you put him in his main event. It doesn't matter if he lost the first time or not, and it was a bad loss.
Right.
Who
did he lose to?
Frank Mir.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Ankle lock.
The
ankle lock, yeah. And it was a bad loss, but he came back with such a decisive victory, and the numbers, like I said, reflected what he could do for the business. It only made sense to put him up against your champion in the third round. So from a wrestling fan's point of view, I saw this as where the wrestling promotional side of the UFC came into and kind of showed me that UFC is kind of just as sports entertainment-y as the WWE is in certain aspects, So that's what got me interested in the MMA, was that whole thing. I'm not a diehard fan or anything like that. I still enjoy my wrestling more. But that's kind of the same approach that Billy's taking with Tyrus. This is a known individual. I'm hoping for crossover. And like you said, he has network connections. People that are involved with television networks know who this guy is.
Yeah.
Outside of being a wrestling persona.
Excuse me. I think it's the same thing too, like you're saying with Logan Paul in the WWE, right? That guy's a legit talent, and he just headlined a premium live event, Dave, with Roman Reigns, and I'm sure the numbers were great. The reviews were great.
Yeah.
Do you think, Dave, that Pope and Pollo were on to something, that this maybe sounds true, that if you're looking for a TV deal, this is the way you want to go?
Well, I mean, Tyrus is a name in wrestling and outside of wrestling.
Right.
Plus, when we were at the tapings, they did, I'd call it maybe a 3 to 5 minute shoot featuring wives of wrestlers. There's a new reality. I don't know if it's going to be on what channel, but it features the wives of wrestlers, current wrestlers, all throughout NWA, WWE, and I'm not really sure who they are. All I know is I saw a lot of plastic and a lot of well, let's just say plastic surgery. A lot of it.
You don't mean the platinum credit cards.
No.
A lot of plastic and filler.
Yes, but I mean, sometimes you have to step back before you go forward.
Yep.
With Nick Aldis being gone from the NWA, even though his contract is till the end of the year, he's out of the picture. So it's time to pivot, and we'll see where it goes. I'm not sure what channel this reality show may be on, but Tyrus's wife is going to be one of the features on it. So, hey, if we're featuring wrestlers and their wives, hey, this is the champion of the NWA, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so, it's going to be storyline. They're going to follow him to wherever he goes. They'll follow him to his job on Gutfield. They'll follow him to any tapings he may go to. They'll follow him to book signings. They'll follow him to his speeches, his events that he does.
Right.
So anything to build up the NWA at this time, anything helps.
Sure. You know, another thing that Pollo mentioned on that show too was that she'd noticed that Tyrus and, you know, they were both incredibly respectful about the whole thing and had great respect for the man and the company. I don't want to give the sense that they didn't when she said this, but that he has tweeted more about the NWA since becoming Worlds Heavyweight Champion than she believed that he had in the last 6 months about the NWA at all.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting that, you know, for those who say, well, you know, the TV title's been there since the beginning, since he's been champion. It's been on that Fox show this whole time. He wasn't tweeting so much about the NWA, but he is now.
Yeah.
And if he is going to leverage his position, the position that they're, you know, the NWA has said, we're going to attach ourselves to this particular train engine, that at least he's like, let's pull that train. I'm that guy that's going to be on my shoulders. So I thought there were two interesting perspectives I hadn't heard before this week. But you know what came out today? We were just talking about this before going live. Breaking news in the NWA. I'll throw this up here. The Smashing Pumpkins on March 4th of next year with a bunch of other bands are hosting the World is a Vampire Festival in Mexico. And you'll see down at the bottom of that list of bands, NWA versus AAA across the board. And the potential for some of those matches, I think, is really exciting. It's supposed to be at some point during the festival, the music stops, and then boom, the wrestling begins. I don't know how many matches we're going to see, but like, you know, right off the bat, the first one, I thought, well, who would be the best match there? The first thing that came to my mind was Taya Valkyrie and Camille.
Mm-hmm.
In that, well, I guess for them in down in south of the border, a rematch, right? So that's exciting to me. But what do you guys think? Jeremy, what do you think of this one?
This is something that I expected, honestly, to see whenever I first heard that Billy Corgan had bought the NWA. I expected him to incorporate this into his touring schedule somehow. So for me, it's a welcome it's a welcome sight. This is something that I feel he kind of slept on and missed out on, and should have taken advantage of earlier. So I'm glad to see it happening for sure. And with AAA, I mean, especially south of the border, that's going to get a lot of eyes on that product.
Right. And I'm going to throw this back up again for you, Dave, because you mentioned you knew some of these bands and some of them were pretty decent. It doesn't look like a bunch of schlubs with the Smashing Pumpkins.
No.
It's some quality music.
I really don't think Billy would have bands that either he doesn't like or have not had good dealings with.
Yeah.
Agent-wise, that, I mean, everybody in the music industry talks, so you know who the good bands are and the bad bands and where they come in on how they're treated and how they treat others.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at this, I'm like, wow. I'm like, March 4th, that's only a couple months away.
Yeah.
Now, AAA, I'm like, AAA, let's see who's there. And the first person that came to mind, or the first people that came to mind, FTR are the tag champs. Imagine a lot of
that.
even if they go to a time limit draw, FTR, because I mean they said they want a chance at the NWA tag belts.
Yes, they did.
So one, they either say, hey, if you beat us, we'll put up these tag belts. Well, La Rebellion is from Crash, so I mean they're down in Mexico most of the time anyway. So this is something that can be worked with, and you have some names in AAA besides the actual luchadors and those from Mexico. I mean, Diana Purrazzo.
Yes.
Bring her back in. Because, I mean, I'm looking at it, and I mean, Camille's done a great job, but she's beaten almost everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Valkyrie, go for round 2. Johnny Mundo, bring her husband in.
Please.
But I mean, it doesn't have to be NWA exclusive. It's work with these. You will will these wrestlers into wanting to work with the NWA. That if they have a good experience the first time, why not? If they're not signed to a contract and they're quote unquote a free agent able to bounce around, let them do it.
You know, if it takes a revival of the Rock and Wrestling Connection to get that done, I'm all for it. But
love that movie, by the way.
Yeah. But I don't know what the deal would be if FTR has any. I know they're with AEW for now. In fact, I think Dax Harwood was the one who tweeted out recently, like during the pay-per-view recently, that they sat home at.
Yeah. That was amazing. I'm like.
Yeah. He tweeted, did anybody want to do a live reviewing of our NXT, match? Like, ooh, that's telling. Without saying, I'm unhappy here, you got to think they're unhappy there. But I wonder if they'd be allowed to wrestle in Mexico at that time. I guess it's just conjecture at this point.
I don't know, but speaking of AEW, as we were speaking before the show, me and Tim aren't too familiar with any of the other bands other than Smashing Pumpkins on there, whereas Dave, you do have some knowledge of them. With AEW, the whole thing is the key demographic. Where would you say age-wise that the bands other than the Smashing Pumpkins would fit in, that we would see some possible crossover?
I mean, at the rock bar that I program music for, of course, you got to be 21 to get in. But I mean, you're talking anywhere from, I mean, some of these bands are heavy alternative, some are heavy mainstream. But I mean, the key is heavy. They have an attitude. So, I mean,
Okay.
it could be from teenagers all the way up to, I mean, some of these bands I just put on a rotation and listen when I'm at work.
Okay.
Not having to actually listen to music for work. I just put them on in the background, or I listen to Howard Stern.
Okay.
But I mean, a lot of these, I mean, if you do Sirius XM, I mean, some would be on lithium, some would be just I mean, it's a good mixture. But I mean, it'd go anywhere from teenagers all the way up to, I mean, probably 30, 35. Then you have your older demographic that, yeah, if you like the Pumpkins, you like the Pumpkins.
Yeah.
But I mean, all these bands are good. It just depends on what your type of music is.
Okay.
Now, for the wrestling, it's going to be a mixture. This could be the second coming of the rock and wrestling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they did this once a year in Mexico and then maybe once a year in California, New York, Florida, who knows?
Yeah, that maybe
Started off in,
yeah.
yes, do it in March in Mexico when it's nice and warm, and then ended off here around August or September in a warm place. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback on my end here. Listen, you made me with your question. Great question. What's the age group for this music? Made me think of something that Pope mentioned himself on his podcast about Tyrus, which we were talking about a second ago. Is what's the average age of the viewers on Fox? And that answer was 61. 61 years old. And I initially thought, this tells you how many different layers of this, because I initially thought, oh, that's terrible for the NWA. But then, Pope and Pollo realize, makes you think. If you think about it, there's a lot of those people probably from of that age, 61 for Gutfield or whatever the show's called, I should say, not the network. But there's a lot of 61-year-olds who remember the NWA of old very fondly.
Mm-hmm.
And the 10 pounds of gold, I'm sure, specifically. And if they go, oh, this guy's champion now, let's go check out what's going over there. Maybe there is a decent crossover. I wanted to just go back to Tyrus for a second. James Ballard said the dislike of Tyrus based on social media could have built viewers hoping to see him lose. And that was the third thing that I got out of that same podcast of Pope and Pollo. Was yes, even if he is universally hated, and he's not, but even if he is universally hated, the build towards a title change, the chase of a title change, how long that'll go, the anticipation that whenever that happens and some young babyface takes the title away from him, that place is going to explode. The roof's going to come off of it. And that's going to be major news around the wrestling world at that time.
And there's the dislike of Tyrus that's what kept me tuning in at the beginning, was wanting to see Nick Aldis lose that belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
Because as a heel, I despised that guy. He did a great job, and he made me tune in every week, hoping to see a match where he's gonna get bested.
Yep,
it works.
It's true. He was such an effective heel that I started legitimately hating him, while always recognizing with Nick Aldis, he's so good.
Yeah.
Our friend Media says, Tyrus, win or lose, as long as eyes are on the product, resulting in dollars spent. If that's the case, then job well done.
Yeah,
hard to disagree. And he certainly also misses the old '80s territory, NWA as well. So that's it. That's some interesting new perspectives that after everybody kind of calmed down a little bit, that a couple of the NWA insiders, I don't know if they were the first to bring that up, Pope and Pollo, but the first that I heard anyway. And those were neat ideas about why Billy might go that way and how it maybe isn't the worst thing in the world for the company.
Yeah.
Let's go into NWA USA deep dive. Season 5, I think, episode 2. It starts with a cold open, as it always does. I noted here it's Kyle Davis with the Fixers to start the show. Jay Bradley has a Duggan-esque 2x4 now, which seems a little on the nose for me, but whatever. Wrecking Ball thinks that they're wrestling country musicians in the Country Gentlemen. Hey guys, I still like the Fixers, but I'm not gonna. If Jay's on, I'm not gonna do the Og Baldwin comment. but I kind of feel like I see too much of the Fixers. They're in my face all the time. Dave, what do you think of the opening segment? Are you done with the Fixers, or are you still into them?
I'm not done. What I think needs to happen is they hold the belts. They don't have to always wrestle. They need to build up the undercard, have some tag teams battle each other for the chance to fight for the belts. That right now you have 3 or 4 undercard tag teams that you need to build up. You need to pick one that is your quote-unquote perennial loser that can win every once in a while. But you need to build up at least one of the 3 or 4 tag teams that exist to have rotation. That,
right.
Okay, we're going to have the Obigotten go against so-and-so. We're going to have the Spectaculars go against so-and-so. Now, if you have those 2 tag teams win their matches, then they have to battle each other for a chance to go against the Fixers. Work a rotation where you have several tag teams always vying for a chance. They don't have to win, but give them a chance. I mean, it broke my heart when La Rebellion retained at Hard Times, just because I know that Hawks Alley had gone through so much. They've wrestled them 5 different times and haven't come out on top once.
Right.
Now, if they replay the story down the line, maybe in Mexico, they come in and challenge them. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be great.
But it's one of these things of every once in a while, you have to give the underdog a chance. Now, in some matches, people question, well, why is it a non-title match? Well, that's protecting both people. If your champion loses, they don't lose the belt. If your contender loses, all they lost was the match. They can come back and say, hey, if the belt was on the line, I would have beaten you. I would have had more incentive to beat you. It's a loophole. Now, the Fixers are a good team, but they don't need the titles.
No.
They need to just keep them warm for the next up-and-coming team to grab them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost American Thanksgiving. My sister's an American. I love the US of A. Honest to God, I do. And the transition from the old Fixers gimmick, when they were the Fixers, pro wrestling is fixed, Jeremy, right? And they were here to fix pro wrestling. Just, you could pay them, like Colby Carino did, to do all the stuff you needed them to do. To the ultra American Patriots, it didn't work for me. Did you like the old Fixers or the new Fixers better for you? And is their gimmick working? Are they still working for you in their current form?
I respected the old gimmick because they're big, bruiser, beefy guys, so they naturally fall into that kind of henchman muscle for hire role, I feel. The new gimmick, it's funny. And I like it in doses. There's people in our lives that we love to death in 5-10 minute doses.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where the fixers have fallen now. I'm happy to see them on screen and getting screen time, but as soon as they're gone, I'm glad they're gone.
Their gimmick would have worked for me if there was a modern day version of Volkov and the Sheik, or the Russians from, the NWA, the Koloffs, right? If there had been a reason to, like, we're pivoting to becoming this ultra American tag team right now, the Midnight Express didn't need to wave the American flag to hold the U.S. tag team titles. Is what I'm saying.
This is a bad example because I'm in no way comparing them to, but just in big guy status, the first thing that pops to my mind is it's like they went from being Kevin Nash and Scott Hall to a pairing of Hillbilly Jim and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Right.
It's two polar opposites that don't mesh up well with the people that they have right now. I feel like they would be a good middle of the road, but going to one extreme doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I would have loved to have had them as, I don't know, One Man Gang and Crusher Blackwell, or King Kong Bundy and Big John Studd, that type of thing. That would have been amazing. Media says, I prefer the oil fixers, the guys who got paid to fix issues. It's getting tired more so now with the worsened Duggan-esque gimmick. It's too campy and too much at once. Wrecking Ball's over the top. Radley's okay.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about it. There's no middle ground between those two either. Right. Wrecking Ball is completely just comic book, over the top, 66 Batman TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. Media also said it's becoming what the NWA said it doesn't want, which is cartoonish. By the way, this is a dark look, media, into your life. I'm just going to leave that up there and not repeat it on air. but regardless of that, we hope you're doing well, feeling better. The Fixers did go on to, directly after that on USA, to face the Country Gentlemen for the NWA US Tag Team titles. For some reason, the Fixers wrestled like heels during this match, and that seems to be happening. Are they heels? They don't seem like heels, and then they wrestle kind of like heels. Are they tweeners? I sometimes think it's more of an issue of media, of more of an issue of the NWA doesn't really, care one way or the other. Just it is what it is. But anyway, it's a fairly one-sided match, at least from my point of view. For much of it, there's a miscommunication by the gentleman where Anthony Andrews, who's the thoroughbred Anthony Andrews now, no longer adorable, he wants to be in the ring after really getting his ass kicked for a significant portion of this match, and AJ trying to tell him, like, I at least what I got of it, I know you were there, Dave, was, I need to be in right now, take a rest. And the Fixers kind of chucking AJ out and double choke slamming Andrews and pinning him there. Dave, was there anything different to this? That, like, you think the gentlemen are going to be done already? I know that Billy says they say Billy loves to break up tag teams.
I'm hoping not, but I mean, the money is on AJ. That basically, I mean, Andrews, you can give or take. He's there as the tag team partner.
Yeah.
When needed.
There's got to be a Marty Jannetty.
Yeah. And I mean, I hate to say that, but it is what it is.
But it's true.
Yeah, someone's got to get super kicked through the sugar glass in the barbershop window, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. What did you guys think of this match? You were there, Dave. Did the crowd react? It didn't sound like they were super into it.
Yes and no. I mean, they reacted to certain spots. They didn't react to the wrestlers. They reacted to the action.
Right.
Now, I mean, this would have been a perfect opportunity. Granted, Billy was on tour, so he wasn't there for the taping.
Right. He was in Portland, I think.
But Pat Kenny was. So Pat, as talent relations or whatever his actual title is, they had a couple weeks ago Billy trying to switch out the U.S. tag titles.
Right.
They could have kept that story going, and Pat could have just come out, and it would have taken maybe 1 or 2 minutes, him coming out, hey, want to thank everybody for coming out. Before we get started in this title match, we're going to switch out the titles. Hey, guys, I need the ones that you have. Here are the new ones.
Right.
And if you don't wrestle, you forfeit your belts.
And it's either, like you said, switch them out. You're not losing a title. We're just switching the titles. And they could have kept the story going, whereas if they didn't want to give up the titles, they forfeit. They could still keep the titles, and then they have to, I mean, it's almost like the Intercontinental title. When Sean went away, and then, okay, when he comes back, well, I never lost it. So then they go for the two Intercontinental champions battle for the one title. They could do that with the U.S. title because the Fixers, in my opinion, don't need the title. If you get the title away from them, maybe it kicks them in the head that, hey, we lost those titles. We need to go after them. Who needs our services?
Right.
We're going into business for ourselves, and they revert back to the original. They can still be funny at times, but when they're in the ring, they get business done.
Yeah.
They get it taken care of.
I love, and in that situation you described, would have really worked well in the NWA. Like, to have Pat Kenny come out and, have Galley go, oh, it's Pat Kenny, our director of whatever, the former Simon Diamond. The crowd would have been like, hey, it's Simon Diamond, right? But there would be that recognition at an NWA event that you wouldn't see at a WWE event, I don't think. And I think that would work. Jeremy, the Fixers win this match. What did you think of the fight overall?
So what I wrote down was Wrecking Ball has so much red, white, and blue on, I expect him to fart American flags on the stink face variation that they did.
Oh.
And wearing a rodeo belt buckle was probably a bad idea. For a second, I thought they were going to do a pants spot, and rightfully so due to the past silliness of the Fixers. And there was someone in the crowd was a very vocal fan of the Country Gentleman.
Yes.
Every time they landed a move, there's no way that person was talking the next day.
Yeah. Did you hear that guy, Dave?
Yes, I did. And the first night for the pay-per-view, I sat down and I looked down the aisle, and all I saw was orange. And I'm like, Tennessee, okay. Well, it's family members, and I believe one of them was Kazana.
Okay.
He's sitting a couple chairs over, and I'm just like, hey, hope you guys enjoy the match. Yeah. Well, the older ladies that were there I don't believe had been smartened up that it's a work.
Oh,
They were yelling and screaming, tear his head off, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, I was surprised some of the language coming out of their mouth. And I mean, these are 60, 70, possibly even older ladies. I did see a walker. So I'm like, either it's a stunt grandma or their family of Kazanas and the country gentlemen, and they just have never been smartened up. To them, everything is real. So I mean, it was I was chuckling, but it showed me the passion they had.
yeah.
And I mean, I think the match itself wasn't bad, but it showed a little bit of, oh, there's some misunderstanding and some hot-headedness. Okay, hey, Anthony, chill out. We're a team, brother. Chill out. I got this.
Yeah.
Then get in each other's face. I don't know if Billy does this on purpose when he does the booking, but almost every tag team has had quote-unquote miscommunications or a bad move, and somebody hit somebody else. Yes. So there's always that friction, even if, hey, we're brothers, we're father and son, we're cousins. We've been wrestling together for 20 plus years, whatever. There's always a little itch that needs to be scratched, and it's not in a good way sometimes.
Every tag team's got to sway towards the Rockers, damn it. Ever since that happened, but think about it though. That's been the basic recipe nowadays, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Carlton's here, by the way. I want to say hi to Carlton Paget.
What's up?
He made me think of the old stories, Dave, of when you mentioned an older woman with a walker. I just immediately thought, are one of the fixers going to get stabbed with a hat pin?
Loaded purse.
Loaded purse. Let's. It's a short show, but we're not even halfway through it. Missa Kate versus Maddie is next in a singles match. Of course, their partnership broke down recently, and now they're going head to head. There's some good chain wrestling in this to start.
Yeah.
Bill breaks down and gets personal as we thought it would. Maddie at the end misses the reality check, and that's her kick. And Missa hits what's called her kick fillet, which is a spinning roundhouse to win. And the crowd really seemed to react to that. And I wanted to ask you, Dave, if that connected solidly, because the angle, it was hard to see, but the crowd went, ooh.
It was, I mean, if it would have been solid, it would have been lights out, birdies above the head going around. It looked like it hit solidly, but it didn't hit hard. It hit enough to connect, and Maddie did a good job of selling. Good. And I'm not sure where they're going with this, but being that Missa won, they did the handshake, they did the, okay, hey, friends again. Let's see, I actually have, what did I put down?
I mean, right after Maddie looked like she was going to drop Missa at the earliest opportunity.
It went from breakup to makeup. Right. That they had broken up. That, hey, let's put this behind us, and it's an eventual breakup down the line. I'm not sure how far they're going to push it, but I mean, on any. But I mean, by any means necessary, I think Maddie will always be the quote unquote bad guy, bad girl.
Right.
That she'll never be a face. She plays the part very well. And I see a good future ahead for both of them. But Missa at one time was the bad or mad girl that she was pissed off about everything.
Yeah, Chicago sweetheart. Yeah.
Now she's actually the good girl. That, I mean, she's very good in the ring. She can talk on the mic. She just needs to build up her repertoire of moves in the ring is good, but she just needs to build up and get some wins behind her.
Yeah.
To move to that next level.
Yeah.
And I mean, in this, I think Maddie can lose if they end up going against each other and breaking up the tag team. Maddie can lose and still get success out of losing. That you can build two people up rather than only building one person.
Yeah,
for sure. You know, and I watched this, Jeremy. I thought, I'm pretty sure they just did this angle with Pretty Empowered, and that was a pretty good ending to that. Where I didn't see it coming. They were kind of working us the whole time. They're both heels, but this seemed a bit rushed as an angle to me. They broke up. They've done this, and you know, from where I sat in my living room, it just looks like Maddie's going to hit her with a chair the earliest opportunities she gets.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe that I got off of it. That this is going to explode sooner than later. But then again, we're back at another Rockers tag team storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it that's old. I'm sick of seeing that. I see that in every wrestling company with half of their tag teams that's teased or executed to full extent, you know.
Yeah.
Don't put a tag team together just to break them up. That makes no sense.
Well, they say that Billy likes to do that. I'm sure there are many examples for that to happen.
Lazy booking.
You know, I that it was one of the most iconic moments on the barbershop with the Rockers, and for me, it was even. I know exactly what you mean. Like when I was a kid, it was Orndorff, you know, suddenly short arm clotheslining Hogan, right?
Yeah.
I can remember as a kid going, "What? How can this be?" And now it's just, oh yeah, we kind of saw that coming. So to your point, maybe there needs to be a new way to do this.
You can pay it's telegraphed even so badly nowadays. You know, they start working it in and immediately I'm just like, they're going to break up. And my wife will look at me and be like, how do you know? Because I've been seeing it for the past 20 years now.
Yeah.
30 years now.
I mean, there's something to using formulas that work, but there is beating that dead horse into the ground, right? I hear what you're saying. Willie's here and tells us Tyrus is going to bankrupt Burger King. Speaking of which, did you hear, and I don't want to get into this, but it just as a Burger King made me think, the Pope and his charity Love Alive takes over a Burger King and feeds and clothes the blankets to the homeless or the needy in I guess in Jacksonville. Yeah,
that man does so much charitable work down there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, he's so much about
amazing individual.
Yeah, it really is. So May Valentine's with Silas Mason. He's got a non-title match on Power this week. He misses Pollo. You know, it's not bad. I look forward to seeing more of Silas this season and seasons going forward. Let's just see what media says here. Billy has a habit of doing that, putting talent together. He wouldn't have anything to do who don't have anything to do and hopes they can be a team, winging a prayer booking, which always ends up breaking up the team and not gelling.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's pretty classic right now, but hopefully we break out of that mold. The last match, this is a very short Power, as media pointed out earlier in the comments of NWA USA this week, is Homicide taking on Jace Valor of Wildcat. And
Yeah.
So Homicide, of course, as the dominant champion, the first champion of the Lightning One era for the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship, lost that title to Kerry Morton at Hard Times 3, and he comes out pissed to the gills, as my grandpa used to say. And I don't mean he's drunk. I mean he's angry. But he beats the shit out of Chase Valor in this match. This poor kid from Wildcat. It's biting. It's fish hooking. He throws him through a table. Yeah, he throws him through a table, sort of, kind of, which is not something that we really see around the NWA so much. What else did he do? He's choking him. It actually goes on way too long, but this ends in a DQ. But it goes on way too long. Before I watching it going, why isn't there a DQ here? Like, why isn't this already a DQ? He's not listening to the referee. Anyway, it goes on too long without one, and then he finally gets disqualified when he does that ring apron choke routine, and he's covered up his head and he's smashing Valor. Valor got a little bit of offense to show us what he could do and what is there. But boy, this was Homicide all the way. And after his DQ'd, Homicide he's really good, I think, at just going, what happened? What are we doing? Yep. He gets so pissed off that he somewhat destroys the ringside area. He picks up a ring barrier like he might throw it into the crowd and throws it down. He's pulling it off, and he even tries to he goes to the big lighting rig, and it looks like he's trying to find a way to get the lighting rig down, which thankfully is very solid. He's screaming at the announce team. I couldn't hear what he's screaming, but maybe you did, Dave. I'll ask you in a sec. But my favorite part is at the end, as he takes some guy's coat, man's coat near the aisle. He puts it on like he's just taking it. And he goes up to the ramp, and he kind of pulls the hood up, and he kind of whoop to everybody, and that was it. It was just a Homicide is pissed, and he's going to take it out on everyone. Dave, did you hear what he was yelling at the announce team? I couldn't make it out.
Bits and pieces. It's basically, I believe that since he lost and he's no longer champion, you guys don't respect me. Oh. All I could hear was, I'm no longer champ. What? No respect. I'm not champ. And I mean, he just started going off, and then it was so hilarious, him grabbing that coat. The guy's like, hey, and he just walks off. And I mean, you can see at the very end when they start fading out, he takes it off. He's laughing to himself, but I'm not sure what they're doing with him, but any match I see of him, I enjoy.
Jeremy, he's a badass. He seems even tougher now than he did when he had the title. What did you think of what little you saw out of Jace Valor, and how do you like Homicide without the belt?
Valor looked okay. I think he'd be a nice addition onto the NWA to be enhancement talent and then build up, down the road possibly. With Homicide, this is that again. Any match with Homicide is going to be fun to watch because it's Homicide. You never know what you're really going to get, what you're going to get to see. So that unpredictability is always nice. Joe cracked me up whenever he said, "Come on now, Homicide, you can't just take jackets from people." And he said it was such just, you're not supposed to be doing that. Just such disdain that he would take someone's jacket. And then when he's trying to flip the hood up and the hood's stuck down in the jacket, I thought that was hilarious. It was what it should have been. Homicide should have came out there and just completely destroyed that kid. I was surprised that he got in the little bit of offense that he was able to get in, and that's something else that I wrote down, was that I was surprised that he got in any offense at all.
I mean, there's another interesting little dynamic is how the crowd reacts to some of the hometown names down there. and they love their Wildcat guys. This guy
Oh,
was no different. I like Wildcat. I like Homicide as a bit unhinged without the title. And he doesn't get old for me, which is I don't know why that is, but he's got a formula, and he seems to be working it pretty well. So that's really the end. There wasn't much to NWA USA this week, but so let's, if we can, guys, let's skip ahead to Power just in the interest of time. Season 11, Episode 2. Kyle Davis, one of your guys, I don't think it's me. I think one of your guys' mics is super loud right now. I can hear some kind of feedback coming through.
I have mine muted.
Anyway, Kyle Davis is with Tom Latimer and EC3 in an empty arena. Tom says, you can talk shit basically about me and my past and my demons and the things I've done or been involved in, but you can't talk about my wife. And EC3 then just does this. I don't know what you guys think. It might be totally different than what I think. I thought it was awesome. Where he's like, they have a tag team match tonight. Oh, let me guess. He breaks down how the feud is going to go. The promoter says that we have to be in a tag team because he's going to tease our big confrontation down the line, and I'll probably be in the ring, and I won't want to face you, so I'll tag out. And then he goes through it all. I was laughing. I thought it was pretty awesome. I know that I'm not supposed to enjoy looks behind the curtain. I bet if Jim Cornette were here, he'd say, "God damn you, EC3, you shouldn't be doing that." But he says to him, he knows how this ends, with one man going down and the other man rising up to become World's Heavyweight Champion. Tom agrees that that's the case. Jeremy, what did you think of the cold open for NWA Power?
I get that kayfabe's dead, but this, I'm like you. Everybody loves a peek behind the curtain, but this is yanking the curtain down and just totally exposing all the inner workings. I feel, and I'm past it. I'm past EC3 at this point. I didn't care for him with the Latimer thing, and it's just kind of carried over right now. I'm going to give him a little bit to try and build himself back up to me. So I'm not going to say too much bad. I kind of want him to build himself back up because he's a phenomenal talent, 5-tool player through and through. I don't care for this gimmick.
I maintain, and I know that we part company kind of on EC3. We both say that, hey, he's a great talent. I maintain there's something in Control Your Narrative that if it's explained a little better, I'm going to love. I'm going to dig it. And I'm almost there. And I like the intensity of the essential character. I do think that he's world championship material again. In the same way that Tom Latimer should be as well. Hey, Poyo's here. We were just talking about your podcast with the Pope earlier, Poyo. Really, really good, really on point with the talk about Tyrus. So thank you for that. It was a good segment. I know we're supposed to actually push through Power and not talk too much about the segment, but this was a pretty good one. Yes, why not run down the obvious cliche? Well,
it's the holiday season. I'm trying to be charitable and giving.
That's right. But let's just touch on the matches. Tom Latimer with Danny Flamingo versus EC3 and Matt Lancey with his manager Hardbody Harper. So these are Wildcat guys. Good ovation from the crowd there. The Wildcat guys who were fine. They got some decent time, some decent offense. it's kind of funny that with that look behind the curtain that EC3 did, he did exactly what he said. Oh, this is the cliche where I don't want to fight you. I'm just going to tag out, and that's exactly what he does. And I kind of laughed at that. In the end, though, EC3 gives his own partner the finisher and tosses him to Tom, who kind of says, "This is you. This is going to be you," and makes him tap in his version of the crossface. Dave, anything here for you?
I mean, to me, it keeps the EC3 Latimer story going, even though the story needs to stop. It doesn't need to continue. Both of these guys could be doing so much more. That if they're going to do the control your narrative, do it. If not, I mean, EC3 is a great wrestler. He can talk. I mean, he has it all. And I mean, I don't know what they're planning on doing down the line, but they just need to look and see where they want these guys to be and then work towards that. Latimer is too good of a talent to not be in championship contention, whether it be with a tag partner, whether it be a TV title reign, a national, or even the heavyweight championship. I mean, this match did a very good job of highlighting the Wildcat talent. Danny Flamingo, oh my God, he was so over with the crowd. And both of these guys were good wrestlers.
Yeah.
Plus, having the local talent there pump the crowd up. And I mean, it just looks like Tom's going to come unhinged when EC3 just takes his own tag partner and dumps him there. I mean, Latimer has never been the goody two-shoes.
Yeah.
But he's the good bad guy. He's almost like a Stone Cold. He doesn't give a shit.
Yep.
He does what he needs to do to get ahead.
He's a natural heel.
Oh, yeah.
And, Poyo points out EC3's partner, much more impressive. I agree. I thought he was more impressive. That was Matt Lancey, I think.
Yeah.
And, of course, he took the loss in this match, but no shame to these guys. I thought they were both pretty good.
Yeah.
And she mentions, I like this rivalry. It gives both something to direct their characters. I'm again with you on this one. I kind of part company with my podcasting brothers here. I like this feud. I like what they're getting into. I like what control your narrative can be. I think you need to get rid of all of the I don't mean this disrespectfully, but all of the scrubs who were involved with control your narrative, who we don't know the names of, who haven't been introduced to. I think Psycho Fodder is the only one that we know. So I'm not saying get rid of him, but if there's a thing there, but I look forward.
It's odd that the one that we know is fodder and the rest of them are actual fodder.
Yeah, that is true. I think this could become even more exciting if as we've talked about before, what if Tom falls to EC3's sway and says, you know what, you're right, and think about the possibilities that could do there. Media says I personally liked EC3 and Latimer. People aren't used to it. So, hey, lots of great opinions around this thing, and I'm sure the Alliance guys will get into it tomorrow night. And this is supposed to be their material that we're stealing here, but NWA USA was so short, guys. We have to talk about something.
Yeah.
We had what we have after that. Oh yeah, God, there was a dumpster fire of the week, wasn't there? We were saying before the show, it was question mark 2 at the Mongrovian Dojo, teaching strikes to 4 guys. They are attacked by. They've still not properly been introduced yet, but I think it's blunt force trauma and Aaron Stevens. And for me, it was this.
So
Yeah.
sweet.
I'm gonna go past it there. There was, it's like the only thing I'll mention about it is that we came back to the action, and it wasn't cue the fire. It wasn't even mentioned. Like, that was earlier today, and it's like, oh my God, what happened in the back? That was never talked about.
Yeah.
Sorry, just going back, Hoyle says, also, I would remind you, one of the complaints has been a lack of longer-term feuds, which then allows for character development. You can't crap on this because it's offering you exactly what you want. Yeah, no, again, I look forward to this particular feud. I think the guys feel differently, but to each their own, and that's what we love about the NWA and the NWA fan is being able to voice those opinions. What do you guys think about that comment?
Polio also brought up a comment earlier that they are back in 2 weeks to do more tapings as well. So,
Great.
And
I apologize when I miss comments. I'm not as good as it as Jay is. I'll keep a better eye.
And that's my thing. I do want the longer term stories. This one just isn't. This one's not clicking for me. That's why I don't want to. Like I said, I don't want to pile on too much negative and stuff. It's the holiday season, So
there you go.
I am interested. Obviously, we're doing a podcast, so I'm here for it, and I want to see what develops from everything,
Right. And Dave, I think you like long-term feuds too, but when they're just not something you want to see anymore, you'd like it to stop.
Well, like Jeremy said, something isn't clicking. And I don't know if down the line, maybe it's because they haven't really explained CYN, the control your narrative. That they could do a short 60-second bumper in between of EC3 explaining why he is fighting, what's happening, why he wants Tom to join him rather than they fight each other. But
or for that matter,
if need be, but come over to the dark side or join me.
Hey, when you say that, I immediately just thought of an idea around that, as Poyo had mentioned, back in 2 weeks to film the rest of the season. What about, hey, pass this on, NWA CYN? You could explain, control your narrative, and during that half-hour show.
That's what I was going to say. With as much as we love to give Velvet and the Fixers especially their own little surges and stuff, and After Darks, why not give us a CYN surge? So that way he has an opportunity, an entire show, not even a 60-second little bumper thing, but an entire show to properly lay out what CYN is, because there is something there. I agree with you. There is definitely something there. It's just, it has not clicked for me yet, and I think with a little bit more explanation, it really would.
Yeah. Or less. As Poyo points out, that might also be the option. If there's less CYN overshadow and more straightforward EC3 versus Latimer.
Yeah.
It's interesting. If he's the leader of a heel faction, I think he'd tell you he isn't, right? That people under his leadership are supposed to do what they want, but we just don't quite get it yet.
Yeah.
But media says, right, it isn't clicking, probably due to what was done in the ring. Should have been done not in an actual match. Have it as a segment leading to the match.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. What happened after the where am I right now? Oh, the Mongrovian Dojo. We did the dumpster fire. Nate Bradley versus Chuck Divine in a Wildcat Revolution title match. This was an all Wildcat match on NWA Power. My take on this, and I'm going to turn it over to you right away, Dave. Nate Bradley, painfully small for me, but really innovative, really agile and quick. And Chuck Divine, a decent technical and all-around wrestler, It is Divine with a DDT to win. I was super impressed by Nate Bradley, and I liked it. I liked the match overall. How did you think? The crowd seemed to be totally into seeing this. Their hometown boys right there.
I mean, definitely. It was a good match. I didn't think that they would have a title change, but there, like you said, there was a difference in size. Both of them were good wrestlers, but it's, I mean, to me, it was almost a clash of styles. But they say styles make fights.
Yeah.
It's how you adjust and pivot. It was a very good match. It got the crowd going. They were hometown boys. And I think, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing either of these guys wrestle for the NWA down the line.
Yeah.
That if they're doing all these different pay-per-views and tapings with different companies, include them when you do if they could do almost like a super clash like they used to back in the day, where you get, okay, we're going to get the tried and true guys, we're going to get some Wildcat guys, we're doing this, we're doing a super pay-per-view, and it's going to be NWA plus Wildcat, plus this, plus that. And you have all these different champions plus their challenger appear on this big pay-per-view.
Right.
It's almost a territorial thing where these are the regional champions and they're put against the higher champions down the line.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
great.
I think this was a very good match highlighting Wildcat talent. And I'd love to see both of these guys, but I mean, Chuck Divine, when I saw him come out, I'm like, oh, he's just going to ground and pound. He's going to be just take as many shortcuts as need be. But he does have some good technical wrestling when need be. He could match with anybody, and I guess that's why he's champion. That he gets the job done no matter what. If it's a flippy floppy guy, he'll stop him dead in his tracks. If it's a muscle bound guy, hey, let's go, power for power.
You know, Poyo loves the supercard idea, and media is all for that too.
Yeah.
Poyo had mentioned that you fast forward past that Wildcat title match. Go back and watch it if you get a few minutes. It was pretty decent for the local independent wrestling, and I really thought Jeremy, like, he kind of reminded me Nate Bradley, being small and all that stuff, of like the era in WCW, like with the the Jamie Nobles and and those smaller cruiserweight guys, as they used to be called. And he had some really good innovative moves. What did you think of the match?
I enjoyed it. I always got a kick out of the cruiserweights and stuff in WCW growing up, because those were your innovators, and they brought in those high flying, high risk, high reward moves. And these guys having that kind of match didn't really surprise me, though, because they're coming out of Luke Hawk's wrestling school, and he's a stuntman. We know that PJ is a stuntman in his own right, in and out of the ring as well. So to see that high flying stuff, it was cool to see, but I kind of wasn't surprised by it. That's kind of what I was expecting from him.
Right. Yeah, it was pretty decent overall. We go to what do we go to next? May Valentine with JTG and the Pope. She mentions they turned out to be a surprisingly good tag team, and they say we've got each other's backs. There's a flub, sort of where Pope says he has Gags the Gimp tonight, And Ray corrects him on the fly and says, "No, that's next Saturday on USA." And he's kind of like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I wanted to just pause on that because we have said before, hey, you got to have great continuity. And this is May Valentine going, I caught this and I'm feeding it back to you. And Pope going, right on. I appreciate that. You know what's amazing about May too is as well is when you get backstage announcers in pro wrestling, and I didn't write anything down for this, but they quite often stand there with their microphone and they're like, or they're very stone faced.
Yeah.
May clearly enjoys Pope's company, right? And
Yes.
JCP's company, even in the commercial ads with Austin Idol, when he comes on and he's just like, we're taking over the world. She's got a smile a mile wide on her face, and it looks great. Jeremy, you want to say something?
And to that point, I brought this up in the Discord that I think it was Sunday or Monday night that Gary Horn did a impromptu watch along of USA in Power, and during the May Valentine Throwbilly segment that was on USA, he said that he was there at that segment taping, watching that happen right there, and that when Throwbilly attempted to herniate himself, essentially, that May was literally shaking and just, she's selling.
Yeah.
She's selling.
Oh, yeah.
They're one of their best.
She's got the microphone over her head. She'll duck a little bit like, something's going to happen around here. She's great, and she's gotten better like pretty much every season.
Yeah.
And for me, she's still one of the highlights. Poyo points out, it's hard to give times and days to promote when you don't know when the stuff will air. Sure, we've seen the lack of continuity, but I just love that she caught it and that they went with it, and it was fine.
And that's something that Matt Cardona brought up on Twitter as well. How am I wish he's ready for them to, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was along the lines of he hopes that they get into more of a shorter shooting schedule because it's hard for him to remember to tweet about a match that was taped 4 months ago, I think.
Right. Well, it's a good point. And I almost kind of wish that if this is the way they continue to tape, that they just own that this is their taping schedule.
Yeah.
And why pretend it isn't? Yeah. Poyo loves, increasingly enjoys her growth as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it's great to see. What happens after that? We get Poyo's man, the Thrillbilly, Prediction Pain, Silas Mason. Against the Great Scion with Austin Idol non-title match. Two big, intense guys beating on each other. Since we only do results only, I got to leave it for tomorrow night for Jay and the boys. But Scion pins him with an assist from the second rope. And I noted in down on my paper that Dave Scooby is wearing his Scooby shirt for this one. So pretty clearly, Dave, this was a hard-hitting fight. I enjoyed it from my easy chair. What did you think of it right there?
My God, I mean, I took some pictures, and I believe I sent them to you. I if I didn't post them in the Discord, I will. But my God, they beat the hell out of each other, and I mean, Silas did a full hand slap and left a imprint.
Yeah.
Full hand imprint, not just, there's a red mark. You could see, I mean, the document is huge. It took up like the rib cage of Scion. Now, this being a non-title match didn't hurt either guy. It did show that Scion will cheat when needed, and he was overpowered and oversized. It was non-title, so he didn't lose his title, but it sets up a rematch down the line, which I would pay for. I mean, if I mean, I live up in the Baltimore area, and if I know that Silas is within a 1 or 2 hour drive wrestling somewhere, I'll drive down to Virginia. I'll drive over up to Pennsylvania, over to New Jersey.
Just take my money. I want to see
Well,
this.
I mean,
Yes.
he has that something.
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
And I mean, his promos are there. He has the size. He has the attitude. It's no shit's given.
Yeah.
He's there to fight.
Yep.
Now, in the match, in the rematch, what I want to see is, okay, you have Austin with Scion. Now, the rematch, Pollo needs to be there.
Yeah, because this would never have happened if she was there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Granted, Austin didn't interfere, but he easily could have.
Yeah.
He could have run interference, and more or less, Austin Idol's vision or style of thinking is rubbing off on Scion, his son. Scion before would have never cheated to win. He used the ropes to win. So we'll see where the storyline goes. But I mean, I'm wanting to see more of Silas. And I mean, his promo got me going. When a promo can get you excited about a match, yeah. I mean, any and all matches that I can see of the Thrillbilly, I'm willing to watch.
Yeah, as Pollo says, I mean, he has more of that something when I'm with him.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, I mean this as the biggest compliment in the world. Silas Mason with Pollo Del Mar is a combination that you like. Neither one would be. I don't think in the NWA is great without the other. I think Pollo makes Thrillbilly such much more of an interesting character, and I think he'd be really good on his own. I was going to say almost like Jimmy Garvin and Precious was what I was going to say. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't like Jimmy Garvin as much without Precious. That's all I can say. I'm getting pretty old, but what'd you think, Jeremy? What'd you think of this one? Where's DK? 1 second here. Yeah, DK's here. Just to go back, Cardona says he wants NWA to tape weekly so he can keep up with the schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Spoiler alert, my baby and I are reunited at TV in 2 weeks. Fantastic.
Cool.
Jeremy, over to you.
I want to echo your sentiment about that. Silas is great, but the cherry on top is definitely him with Pollo. That just sets it off. It finishes the outfit. You know,
Right.
it's a perfect compliment. And anytime that this guy has been on the screen, I've been captivated by him. Scion wasn't necessarily the case when he first came in, but with this national run that he's had, he's became must-watch for me in the ring as well.
Yeah.
And I'm with Dave. If I found out that either one of these two were wrestling within driving distance of me, I'd be in my car to go see either one of them, but definitely both of them wrestling against each other, because it was a phenomenal match.
It really was, and I don't know if you actually watched the Power episode, Dave, because I know you were there, you lived it, but Velvet and the team talk about, you can see that handprint, like, you don't need to take fingerprints if he's in trouble with the law. Just take a shot of that.
Yep.
And you could see it on the screen. So wow, it was good fight. And he came in, Silas did, with so much intensity in the ring. Like, it wasn't just bluster. Like, he was kind of bouncing off the ropes chest first and like really energized to be there.
Fired up.
We go to one of the funnier segments in a while. In May Valentine with Ella Envy and Kenzie Page. and it's revealed that Ella has to face Natalia Markova with Kenzie as a special referee. Pretty empowered or pretty hilarious in this. I'm sure they'll talk about it all tomorrow night. Your hand smells, May. Get it away from me. That made me laugh. And Kenzie says she's going to call it right down the middle. Of course she won't. Jeremy, anything here for you?
It was what it was for me.
Yeah, okay.
It was okay.
You know what? It made me feel for May in the sense that, do you know when you reach that age when you don't have any idea what people 10 years younger you were talking about anymore? Like
I live that daily with my kids.
So I mean, it was like that. Like May was standing there like, am I old now? Did I just, you're not, May, you're great. Anyway, and we go then to Jasmine Allure from Wildcat versus Camille for the NWA Women's World Championship. This is a tale of agility versus power. Allure, it has the agility portion of it from Allure, Jasmine Allure getting caught in the power moves of Camille out of her own agility moves. Like she'd get caught in some kind of flying head scissors or body press, and Camille would down her with something. The story kind of morphs into how much damage Jasmine Allure can take at the hands of Camille and still kick out, as she does time after time. And after a comeback, and there's a really, really good showing here for Jasmine Allure. Not in the way where you're going to go, come on, this is Camille. At least not for me. It wasn't that bad. It was like almost in doubt that Camille might go down here. Jasmine put that kind of a showing in. She kind of comes off the top rope with a top rope nothing, as I like to say, and Camille drills her with the spear and pins her. I liked this match. Dave, did you like it?
Yes, I did. It was, to me, a little long. I thought they could have trimmed maybe a minute or two off of it. That they brought you up to a certain point, and then it would dip a little and then come back up. But both of them are still young wrestlers. And being that they're both within their first couple years of wrestling, that they need to what?
Oh, sorry, no, I didn't mean to. I just trying to catch up because I'm terrible at this. But DK had said we're off tomorrow, so the Alliance guys won't be on. I saw because of Thanksgiving.
But overall, it was a good match. I'm hoping that Jasmine has some future matches with the NWA. I have heard that she signed with WOW, so I'm not sure if that's exclusive or if she can be in dark matches for others. But I mean, overall, it was a very good match. But Jasmine, I'm not sure where she's originally from, but she trained under Jazz and Red Dog Rodney Mack.
Right. Wow.
So she does have some good understanding of wrestling psychology. And for being how young she is and her size, I thought she did a very good job in matching up with Camille.
I wanted to ask you, because just the way the show was went out at for time, when it went out with Camille holding the belt up, I wanted to ask you, did they shake hands after the match? It looked like they might.
I believe she did.
Yeah. It didn't look like, damn you for being so good. It seemed like it was a good athletic competition.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. All right, let's move in forward to our good friend, roving reporter, Jeremy, with the UWN, United Wrestling Network Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and Memphis. Over to you, sir.
Yes. This week we're starting off with Memphis Wrestling, and this is part 1 of the Memphis Trios Tournament, episode 91. We start off with the cold open, and it's a Trios Tournament match with the Nightmare Posse made up of Mike Anthony and the tag team champions, the Posse, going up against the Hot Shots with Coach Klein. This was a mugging, plain and simple. The highlight clip after the match was the match itself. It was that short. The Hot Shots didn't stand a chance, and the Nightmare Posse are forced to be reckoned with. Anthony hits Coach Klein with a double boot to the gut for the win. After the match, Anthony and the Posse let Memphis Muscle know that they're hoping to face them later on down the line in the tournament. We then jump to a segment with Zay Washington. Zay knows why Aaron attacked him after his Memphis Internet Championship win, and his jealousy. Jealousy is an ugly disease, and next week Aaron will find that out. We go to a match between Jason Genesis and Goddess versus Trace Lee Hunt with Maddie the Baddie. Genesis has good heel heat, and both men put on a good match. Maddie and Goddess get involved at various points. In the end, Trace and Maddie lock in dueling sharpshooters and get the 3 count in the middle of the ring. We've got a match with a debuting Adam Priest and Tim Bosby. Bosby made his debut 2 weeks ago on part 1 of the Stars of Tomorrow showcase. His impressive high school wrestling career, technically sound but vastly outmatched by Priest's in-ring knowledge. Great second match for Bosby as he picks up his first win with a reverse schoolboy, showing that experience doesn't always trump natural ability. There was a show of respect after the match. It was a good one. This was my match of the show. Again, like I said, this is Bosby's second match, but he's a high school all-state in high school, I believe, in Tennessee. Okay. And just technically a solid kid, and definitely somebody to watch out for. I highly recommend everybody going and watching that one. Then we get the Hollywood Click, a segment with the Hollywood Click and Team Wrestle Center. This is a promo from each of them talking about the tournament. Then we jump right into the main event between both of them. The Hollywood Click is Colton Cage, Van Vicious, and DDT in this match. And they are going up against Mackenzie Morgan, Ray Sanders, and Derek the King. Mackenzie Morgan is another one that made her debut back at the Stars of Tomorrow event that they had. She's also their backstage segment reporter or interviewer as well. Team Wrestle Center got the loudest pop that I've heard on Memphis to date. The pop was huge. All 6 competitors have I can't even read what I.
Okay. I'm a pharmacist in my spare time. I don't know what I've written.
All 6 competitors have had run-ins with each other in the past, with Ray Sanders being the former Click personal referee, Derek the King being basically into forced servitude as their personal assistant after losing to Van Vicious. And then Mackenzie Morgan's had run-ins with DDT in the back during their interview segments. Ray takes the bulk of the match action for the team. Wrestle Center with the Hollywood Click using the numbers game to their advantage. Ray is finally able to make a hot tag to King. This gets DDT and Van Vicious to come into the ring. Follow suit. There's some back and forth before all 3 of the Hollywood Click Irish whipped into each other, and then Derek the King hits Colton Cage with a super kick and then pins for the win. It was kind of clunky, Matt. But again, Mackenzie Morgan and Ray Sanders are still in training with the Wrestle Center. Again, they got the loudest pop that I've heard in all of Memphis with everybody that they've had come through and everything. Overall, the show was good. I enjoyed it. Definitely go back and watch the Adam Priest versus Tim Bosby match.
Okay.
I think it's a clip of. I think Memphis is really good about breaking theirs down into by segment and stuff after it's aired. So you'll find it on their YouTube page. And then we go to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. We start out with the debut of the Agents of Chaos versus 24K. The Agents of Chaos are made up of Bryce Saturn and Charles R3 Cassis. And then 24K is Miggy Rose and Michael Hopkins. This is a new incarnation of the Agents of Chaos, while 24K is completely new tag team. R3 is a former Arizona State champ, and he's wrestled for a couple of other. He's wrestled, I think, 20-year career, 20-year career now. So he's been around for a while. 24K is able to secure the win, though, in their debut after an electric chair leg drop dual finisher. So Michael Hopkins sets up. I believe it was Bryce Saturn for the electric chair slam, and he's coming down. Miggy Rose comes off the top rope and finishes him off with the big leg drop, and
Nice.
It was a good match. It was
Off the top rope,
off the top.
Alabama Jam style.
Then we go to a match with El Primo Video versus Big Boss. El Primo Video last one match.
I'm losing your mic, Jeremy. I can't quite hear you. Dave, are you hearing that too?
Yeah, but
Okay. No. Seems worse. Lower than before, actually. Do you want to drop out and come back, and we'll get back into Hollywood? All right. Cool. All right, Dave. Let's run over to. Let's open the book. As Dave Scooby asks us all, what's the future of the world and women's tag team titles? So, what are you thinking, Dave? Is like, how are we going to build up challengers to each of these?
right now, there aren't a lot of challengers for either set of titles. La Rebellion, the current men's world tag champions, they beat Hawks Aries, which I thought was a mistake. But I'm not the booker, I'm the fantasy booker. There's two new teams that could possibly face the champions, and that being the Masked Blunt Force Trauma with Aaron Stevens, and JTG and Pope have teamed up. I'm not sure if they have a name yet, but both of those guys are great wrestlers, single or tag. And I think, if anything, it would bring a new resurgence if La Rebellion would lose the belts. Right now, they just need to build both of those teams, and they have tapings coming up, so hopefully they're able to get a few wins under their belts. But right now, I don't think there's a solid outside team that can go after the men's belts.
Mm.
But seeing that only a few months away, AAA and the NWA are going to go head-to-head, if they just highlight it and have championship matches, whether they be for the actual championship or non-title matches, but have your champions fight, it'd be a good way to, I don't know, I'd say up the value of those teams that are wrestling. That if FTR is going to wrestle for AAA and they're going to be involved, if they're not being used by AEW, kindly lend them to us for a set of tapings.
Right.
Or hell, even have them record a 30-second little, hey guys, we'll see you in March, or maybe we'll see you earlier. Who knows? We have friends in Knoxville. We have friends in Nashville. We have friends in Atlanta. We may decide to go visit a friend when you guys are in town, so be on the lookout. Who knows? But right now, the NWA needs to build on the teams that they have. And if they're able to bring in outside talent for one set of tapings, it's a good deal. It's really a no-lose for the NWA. Depending on what they're going to do, you also have Knox and VSK, but VSK is also wrestling for AEW. Now, if they can work it out, that's one thing. I'm not sure where they're going with the Matt Cardona and the Cardona family. But right now, the NWA just needs to concentrate on rebuilding what they have, using what talent they have. Now, with the women, you have Missa and Maddie. There's trouble in paradise. They're not seeing eye to eye. So, like I said before, it could be a breakup, then they make up, then they break up, then they make up. They're good as a team, but I think they're even better as a singles wrestler. So it could build up a good storyline. I was thinking right now Angelina Love isn't doing much, and Natalia Markova, Max just put a hurting on the Russian Crush, so why not put Angelina and Natalia together? It's a love crush. They're not in current storylines, so put them together at the tapings, have them come out, challenge, do a non-title, then do a title. You get two good matches out of it, and both those ladies know how to go. Yep. They can lead Pretty Empowered through the match, even though they're not the champions. They can help them look even better as they go forward. Now, my ideal team, being that Camille has gone through everybody on the roster and outside of the roster. They've had people come in to challenge. Right now, she really doesn't have a contender, a challenger set up. She's gone against Kylan. She won against Chelsea. She beat Chelsea. Kylan was not a factor in the match. Yep. She didn't win, but she didn't lose. She didn't get pinned, but she's already fought her for the title. So give that a little breathing room. So it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yep.
So whether they're fighting against each other or fighting together, why not team them up until there's a new singles contender for the Burke? Team them up. If they should win, you'd have Camille 2 belts, 1 time and 2 belts, and Kylan would have a belt. Plus, it would also give a great storyline of teammates fighting each other for another belt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you keep that story in the back of your head while they're quote-unquote friendly tag team wrestlers. They're also opponents, from the past and hopefully in the future.
Yep.
Great ideas. One that I thought and I didn't think of it before you started talking, but just now is they had Riley as their third member in Pretty Empowered. I haven't seen her around. And maybe they can continue to abuse her enough that she gets herself a partner and goes after the champs as well. Yeah. Lots of good thoughts there. Let's go back. Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Let's go back and finish up Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Okay, we left off with El Primo Genio versus Big Hoss. El Primo Genio last won in an upset victory over Lord Crew, but hasn't had any success since. This week is no different for him, as Big Hoss was just too much for the smaller challenger, and he easily got the win over him. Then we go to a backstage segment with Jeremy McPeak. Are you ready? Are you ready for
I'm
this?
ready.
And beef candy. Everyone cheers beef candy. And they can cheat too. They can play dirty. They know how to get down that way. We then go to Jack Farmer with El Primo Genio. Jack asks, what's the plan to get back on track? But Halston Body interrupts and wants a rematch for Lord Crew. El Primo Genio accepts with one stipulation. If he wins, Halston has to become his manager. So I want to see that rematch. I want to see that rematch now. Then we go to Dom Kubrick versus James Brady. Kubrick's whole demeanor has changed since Halston Body betrayed him. Brady's able to get in some offense here and there, but Kubrick's newfound viciousness carries him to the win column with a double underhook spinning slam. Just another mugging of a match, and I'm into Dom Kubrick and where they're going with him. We then go to a backstage segment with Rob Schitt, Howdy Price, and Levi Shapiro. They still haven't given him a name, so Rob Schitt it is still. Rob Schitt tells Howdy and Levi he's tired of waiting to get his hands on Lord Crew. They explain that there are levels he has to go through first, and they're the ones to get him there. He reluctantly agrees to follow him. So we'll see what comes with that. We then go to a match with Bateman versus B-Boy, the New Age Punisher. B-Boy's wrestled for a number of promotions over the years. Most notably, he's a former CZW World Heavyweight Champion and a 3-time Pro Wrestling Guerrilla World Tag Team Champion. Huh. Once being with our own Homicide.
Interesting.
Yeah. This was a very physical match. Both men having a long history together, even teaming up as a tag team themselves. Both men put it all out there, including the kitchen sink. After a brutal amount of punishment, Bateman is able to deliver a lariat forearm and get the cover for the 3. It was a good, hard-hitting match. I highly recommend that you check this one out as well. Then we go to our main event. It's a triple threat match from a primetime live event at the Commerce Casino between Poppin' EJ Sparks versus the Blood Thief Adriel Noctis and Judiz. All 3 competitors put on one hell of a match. I'm familiar with Judiz and EJ Sparks, but Noctis was new to me. The crowd was extremely into this match, with This Is Awesome chants breaking out, and rightfully so. This was my match of the weekend, and that's saying something because we all know I'm not a fan of multi-man matches.
Right.
But all 3 were impressed with innovative, high-impact, high-risk offense. Judiz is able to keep his win streak alive after hitting EJ with a spin kick followed up by a big bionic elbow off the top rope onto Noctis for the pin. I went and looked this up. I wrote in there that EJ Sparks was able to keep his win streak alive, but going back on Cage Match and Internet Wrestling Database and all, I wasn't able to find when this match took place, so I have no clue, but it's definitely one. Like I said, this was my match of the weekend, so it's another one that I highly recommend you go back and watch. And just go back and watch Memphis and Hollywood wrestling. It's good for you.
It is. It's good for what ails you in the world of professional wrestling.
You got a problem with the NWA, go watch Memphis or United Wrestling Network. You don't like what WWE did this week, go watch Memphis or United Wrestling Network. If you don't like wrestling, period, go watch Memphis and United Wrestling Network. I guarantee you'll be a fan. You can't find me to sue me for that. So, you
Testify.
But it's true though. I mean, just great every week. Even an show is better than most of what you're going to see.
Yep, and follow them on Twitter and then at the stuff below.
Yes,
they're active on social media. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know already, I mean, UWN's Dave Marquez guys and your NWA folks, you know what that means. There you go. You got to be looking at a grandbaby. Oh my goodness!
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh, hey, buddy. Yeah,
sweetheart.
It's funny. It's like, look at that beard.
She loves the beard. That's the grab point right there. She grabs a hold of it all the time.
Yeah. Luthez is here.
Oh, there's kisses.
Oh, nice. Have a great holiday and be safe. Thank you. You as well.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Okay. Jeremy, thank you for the report.
Always.
Lou's just turning in, but we've already done Dave from some technical difficulties that Jeremy had. So that's it. I hear from DK in the chat that they are not going to be on tomorrow night. Media admiring your grandbaby. So they won't be here tomorrow night. Normally every Thursday you can watch the Alliance guys at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, but not tomorrow for American Thanksgiving.
That's right.
So your next dose of Alliance Wrestling will be next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, the hour before Power, the pre-party with J. Cal himself. And tell us where we can find you guys on social media. Dave.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dave Scooby. Mainly, it's either music or wrestling that I'm talking about. Every once in a while, I'll post some stupid GIF or a meme on Instagram, but most of it's wrestling and music.
Awesome. And Jeremy, I think the media thinks, what is this? This is your grandbaby? That's not your baby?
Yeah, that's my this is my granddaughter, and then my grandson was born 2 weeks ago. He is 2 weeks old today.
Awesome. That's amazing.
But my granddaughter lives with us, so my son and his fiance live with us, and my granddaughter lives with us. So
wonderful.
She's always with Grandpa.
That's great.
But you can find me over on Twitter at HJWOTS. That's the only place I'm at. I'm on YouTube as well, and I am looking to build that up. So things will be coming to that. I am working on stuff for that behind the scenes. So
right. And for me, I'm at NWAGold.com and in all the socials. I'm giving away soon, very soon, what's in this bag. It is a replica bootleg 10 pounds of gold that I'll show off at some point. And that'll be because I'm rebranding. Not that I'm leaving the NWA as a focus, but at some point you got to get the letters of the company out and do your own thing. So that contest is going to be around rebranding what NWA Gold is going to be called. Mostly I run stuff on Twitter. Occasionally I run stuff somewhere else. This time, and I try to keep the instructions like 1, 2, 3, and you're out. This time I'm going to make you guys work for it on probably more than one social media platform, because this is the biggest draw that I've done. And it'll run for a little while, but I'll reveal everything soon. So thank you all for watching. All of you in the chat.
Yes.
I hope that you have. We're always glad that you're here. So very thankful.
Yes.
No pun intended. But have a great Thanksgiving if you're in the U.S., as I think most of you are, and all of the regulars who are here and all the new people that we see. Thank you so much for being part of
thank you.
Hashtag NWA fam and part of the Alliance. We appreciate you, and we wish you all a safe and happy holiday. So until next time, enjoy your turkey, enjoy your family, and we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.